As the situation in Libya remains tense and above all highly fluid, Colonel Gaddafi's son Saif al Gaddafi gave Euronews his personal views on the causes of the conflict. He also repeated his allegation that President Sarkozy owed his election to Libyan funding and said it was too late to talk about a no-fly zone.
Saif al-Islam, before these events you presented yourself as the new reformist face of Libya. What's become of your reformist projects in the face of the protests against you?
As you've seen over the past 2 weeks, what we've seen in the streets is not protesters, but armed militias who kill people and frighten them and hang them. You've seen them in Al-Baida, executing police officers, hanging people from the bridges, and in Misrata, where they burned a man in the public square. These people don't believe in dialogue or human rights or democracy. They are criminals, and luckily they take photos and videos of what they do and publish them. So today the Libyan people have revolted and are defending their land and their country. Every day the Libyan army liberates a town and the people come out into the streets, happy to celebrate these victories. The entire Libyan people are united against these militias and terrorists. Even in the army, there are many volunteers who have joined up to fight. We want to make political reforms when we re-establish peace and calm in our country. We were ready to make reforms and draw up a new constitution with more freedoms before, but now is the time to fight these terrorists and liberate Libya.
But are you convinced that Libya needs major reforms?
Yes, we agree with that. But now, if you speak to the man in the street about what he wants, he'll say peace. Right now, they aren't interested in construction or infrastructure projects because Libyans have been terrorized at the hands of these militias. So all our people want is the return of peace and security. That's the priority. Reforms will come once the situation is stable in 1 or 2 weeks, or a month, because that will be the time for the birth of a new Libya with new laws and a new constitution. Now we're seeing the birth of a modernized Libya.
How can we confirm the presence of Al-Qaeda or other militia groups?
To be clear, Al-Qaeda was only present in the towns of Zawiya, Dana and Al-Baida. But we also saw the emergence of armed groups of murderers and criminals who were organized into armed militias and who even recruited young people. You've seen them on the television, drinking alcohol and listening to loud music and taking drugs. So there are the two, criminal militias and extremist Islamic organizations, and both are enemies of the Libyan people.
So there's no one demonstrating against you? There are only militias and Islamic extremists?
The biggest thing is what happened in Benghazi. In the next few days, we're going to show the truth and the films. Firstly, there are certain businessmen who asked Arab workers in Libya to go out into the public squares. Most of the people who demonstrated were Egyptians and unemployed Palestinians. Secondly, there may be people who are against Gaddafi in Benghazi. Perhaps there are several thousand against Gaddafi. but there are 1.5 million inhabitants in Benghazi.
هذا موجود. لكن بنغازي ممكن في 1000 2000 3 4 5 10000 20000.
There are thousands of people in Libya who don't believe in God, and not only people who don't believe in Muammar Gaddafi. Our ex-Minister of Foreign Affairs is one of these non-believers, and he doesn't hide his atheism. It wouldn't be logical to tell you that 100% of the Libyan people are with Muammar Gaddafi.
يعني مش معقولة أنا أقول لك الشعب الليبي 100% مع معمر قذافي. طبعا لا.
ولكن لا تعتقد أن هناك عدوى.
So there's no contamination from Tunisia and Egypt.
يا أخي مش عدوى. يا أخي أنت أولاً عندك عدوى.
It's not a question of contamination. It's a sort of fashion. It's very similar to what happened during the youth revolution in Europe during the 1960s. Also, we mustn't forget that there are Arab TV stations conducting a media war against us, full of lies and rumours. These things are now clear to our people. For example, one of these TV stations said the Libyan army was attacking the port of Mesda, but Mesda is a town in the middle of the desert. The TV stations of our Arab brothers have sunk to a very low, humiliating level, and the Libyan people make fun of them. Today, these enemy Arab TV stations say that Tripoli has fallen into the hands of what they call Free Libya, and that there is fighting in the streets of Tripoli.
Some information suggests that your armed forces are near to Benghazi, and even that they're at the Egyptian border. What are you going to do with the people who protested against you?
Most of them have escaped. Our supporters have asked us to let them go, to let the traitors who've collaborated with the United States and Great Britain and France leave. Those who've asked for the American fleet, or the return of British troops, or the intervention of NATO, they are all running away to Egypt. We have no intention of killing them, or revenging ourselves on these traitors who betrayed our people. We say to them that they can run into Egypt quite safely, because Libya no longer belongs to them. A lot of them have already left for Egypt.
فهم الآن يعني أخذوا ما خف وزنه وغلى ثمنه واتجهوا إلى القاهرة وبالسلامة إن شاء الله.
A resolution to enforce a no-fly zone over Libya could be passed by the United Nations. How would you react to such a move?
A resolution of what? Against who? It's too late. In 48 hours, we'll have finished our military operation. We're at the gates of Benghazi.
To the Arab League, the Libyan regime is illegitimate. Do you intend to stay in the League or not?
It's ridiculous. These regimes are not democratic and do not hold elections. Their presidents are not elected and do not abide by constitutions or laws. All these regimes are illegitimate. Our real problem is with Amr Moussa, the secretary of the Arab League. This man receives money from Qatar and is preparing for a presidential campaign run in Egypt. And our Qatari brothers have asked him to play this role. We know very well what's being prepared against us. Amr Moussa is not legitimate, and neither are the Arab presidents. And furthermore, these Arab regimes, which were established by dictatorship or inheritance, behave like they are the European Union or the United States. We know very well that this is just theatre at the Arab League. Our priority now isn't deciding whether or not to stay in the Arab League. There'll be time to take that decision. The priority now is to liberate our country and to finish our fight against the armed militias.
اليوم نريد أن نسأل حول موقفكم من فرنسا. فرنسا كانت أول دولة.
What's your position on France and President Sarkozy? France was the first country to recognize the Provisional Council.
ومن الرئيس ساركوزي تحديدا.
Firstly, Sarkozy must repay Libya the money he took for his election campaign. We financed his election campaign, and we have all the details, and we're ready to publish them. The first thing we ask of this clown Sarkozy is to repay this money to the Libyan people. We helped him become president so that he would help the Libyan people, but he's disappointed us. And very soon we'll publish all the details and the documents and the bank payslips.
سؤال أخير لو تكرمت.
One last question. Is there a plan for power in Libya to be passed from father to son?
I'm not going to answer that. I took a decision a long time ago. I've already spoken about it. I don't want to say any more.
سيف الإسلام القذافي، شكرا لك.